Love Saves the Day. What a great name for a book. Gwen Cooper is here. She's the author of that book. Also a book, another bestseller, Homer's Odyssey, the story of a blind black cat. This book, Love Saves the Day, now out in paperback. Doing great, Gwen.
Yes, thank you so much. It's really been great to see how people have embraced my move into fiction.
Yeah, well, yes. Tell me what the book's all about.
It is a novel narrated from the perspective of a rescue tabby named Prudence. So Prudence is the one who tells most of the story. And it's basically about the ups and downs of one New York family as told by the family cat.
Yeah, now I know you, and I know you well enough to know this. What you've done when you've gone out on the book tour that authors sometimes go on, you said, I need to do these at animal shelters, and I want to help animal shelters. Also, Blind Cat Rescue is an organization that means a lot to you. So I want to talk a little about shelter cats and Blind Cat Rescue. First of all, tell me about that organization.
Blind Cat Rescue and Sanctuary is one of only 2 organizations in the country that is specifically dedicated to rescuing blind cats who, as you know, are so frequently euthanized in shelters. They are among the first to be euthanized because the thinking has always been that nobody wants to adopt these animals. And it's been great to see some of the attitudes about special needs animals changing in the past few years. I think even since I first wrote Homer's Odyssey, the attitudes are very different. But of course, it is still an issue. People are often still reluctant to adopt a special needs pet. So Blind Cat Rescue is a wonderful organization that is, of course, very near and dear to my own heart. And I've done a lot of work with them and continue to support them. 10% of everything that I earn goes to Blind Cat Rescue. And
so why do you think it is if I walk into an animal shelter tomorrow and see a blind cat, that kind of touches me, but yet I'm a little worried about adopting a blind cat. So give me the 411, the truth about having a blind cat.
Well, I think a lot of people are concerned that a blind cat will need a lot of extra work, that they won't be able to do simple things like find their food or their litter box, and that those might be challenges. And actually, nothing really could be further from the truth. A blind cat, I mean, it sounds almost silly to say, but a blind cat is just a cat who can't see, but they can still hear and smell, and they still have their whiskers. And all the blind cats who I've ever met have gotten around just fine. They can navigate their environment. They can find their litter box. They can find their favorite spot on the bed and in the closet and on top of your computer where you'd probably prefer that they not lie, but where they like to lie anyway. And they really are just like any other cat. They have a lot to offer, and I always encourage people to consider adopting them.
And consider adopting a cat in general. Shelters are filled with cats still.
Yes, it is. There is a much larger population than there is a population of people willing to adopt cats. And I think, and I'm sure you see this too a lot of times, it's shelter animals in general. A lot of people still prefer to buy from breeders.
Well, not so much with cats, because cats, a small percent are really purebred cats. And I don't think that's an issue, those who prefer to buy from breeders. What happens oftentimes, the way in which we get cats is they come to us. They come literally knocking on our door.
Yes.
And that's fine. You bring in that cat. But we do need to think more and more about adopting cats from shelters, and not necessarily only kittens. And I think there's an advantage to adopting a cat that's 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 years old.
Well, you know their personality. You definitely know what you're getting with an adult cat, and I think that's one of the definite advantages. And of course, they, depending on what your lifestyle is, they can certainly be a lot less crazy. Kittens they're like puppies. They get into things. They tear things up. They knock things down. And an older cat, presumably is a little bit more seasoned and might make a bit more of a dignified and comfortable companion. And I always encourage people to, I think a lot of times our cat children are accidents as opposed to being planned. As you said, they show up on our doorstep, they follow us home, but there's nothing wrong with a planned addition to your family and checking out your local shelter.
Yeah, the other thing I think is that people have so many misconceptions about cats. So people say, well, I don't like cats and they've never had a cat.
I hear that all the time.
Me too.
I will never understand the thinking behind dismissing an entire species of animal. It just makes no sense to me. I think that there are people who think that cats don't bond as much with their families as dogs do. And again, nothing could be further from the truth. I've lived with cats and dogs and formed very strong, very close emotional connections with both animals. Again, I think because cats are a little bit more independent than dogs, the thinking is that they don't need us as much, but that's not the same thing as not loving us as much.
Well put. Love saves the day. She is an expert when it comes to love. Gwen Cooper. Gwen, you okay?
I I am. Sorry, that just that sounded. It was a very interesting way of putting it.
Well, you know what? When it comes to love, she knows her stuff. At least when it comes to cats. Thank you so much, Gwen.
Thank you so much.